Genghis Khan, just the name alone evokes images of fearsome warriors, vast cavalry armies sweeping across the plains, and one of the greatest empires the world has ever seen. But how did this man, born as Temujin in a remote corner of Mongolia, manage to create the largest contiguous empire in history? Well, it's a story of survival, ambition, brilliant strategy, and ruthless efficiency. Genghis Khan's story starts with adversity. Born in the 1160s in the rugged steppe of Mongolia, Temujin came into a world that was unforgiving. His father, Yesugei, was a minor tribal leader, but even that wasn't enough to secure a stable future. When Temujin was just a boy, his father was poisoned by enemies, leaving the family in a dire situation. His mother, Hoelun, was left to raise her children in the wilderness, far from the protection of any tribe. They were abandoned, shunned by their own people, and reduced to hunting and scavenging to survive. This period of hardship taught Temujin valuable lessons in resilience, resourcefulness, and leadership. He learned how to endure, how to fight for survival, and how to inspire loyalty in those who would later follow him into battle. These early struggles shaped the young boy into a determined leader who would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. But becoming Genghis Khan, the title meaning universal ruler, didn't happen overnight. After years of living on the fringes, Temujin gradually gathered followers through a combination of charisma and calculated alliance building. One key event in his rise to power was his relationship with Jamuka, a childhood friend turned rival. Jamuka and Temujin initially banded together as brothers in arms, but their alliance was short-lived. Disputes over leadership style and loyalty caused a bitter split between the two, culminating in battles between their respective factions. Unlike Jamuka, who treated his followers based on rank and nobility, Temujin rewarded loyalty and merit. This made him stand out in a society where tribal leaders often ruled with fear and favoritism. Temujin's approach to leadership was revolutionary for its time. He built a coalition of warriors and clans, not through fear, but by promising them shared spoils and a better future. Warriors followed him because they believed in his vision, not just because they feared his wrath. Through tactical warfare, Temujin began to consolidate power, uniting the fractious Mongol tribes under his rule. By 1206, after a series of victories over his rivals, including the eventual defeat of Jamuka, he was declared Genghis Khan, leader of all Mongols. This moment was a turning point not only for Mongolia, but for the entire world. Now, what truly set Genghis Khan apart was his military brilliance. The Mongol army was unlike any other force in the world at the time. They were highly mobile, disciplined, and efficient. Their cavalry, both light and heavy, was key to their success. Mongol warriors were trained from a young age to ride horses and shoot arrows with incredible accuracy. This combination of speed and firepower made them a formidable force on the battlefield. But it wasn't just brute force that allowed Genghis Khan to conquer vast territories. His success also lay in his ability to adapt and innovate. Genghis Khan employed psychological warfare, deception, and terror to weaken his enemies even before the first arrow was fired. Stories of the Mongol army's cruelty spread like wildfire, often causing cities to surrender without a fight. If a city resisted, the Mongols would show no mercy, massacring the population and burning it to the ground. But those who surrendered were often treated more leniently, and skilled artisans and craftsmen were spared to contribute to the empire. Genghis Khan also understood the importance of intelligence and espionage. He established an extensive network of spies and scouts who provided valuable information on enemy positions, resources, and weaknesses. This allowed him to strike with precision and efficiency, overwhelming his opponents before they even knew what hit them. One of his most significant innovations was the organization of his army. He divided his forces into units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000 men, a system that allowed for incredible flexibility and coordination in battle. These units could move independently or converge at a moment's notice, giving the Mongols a tactical advantage over more rigid, traditional armies. Once Genghis Khan had unified the Mongols, he set his sights on the world beyond the steppe. His first major target was the Jin dynasty of northern China. The Mongols had long been raiders on the Chinese frontier, but now they were organized and determined to conquer. After a series of brutal campaigns, the Mongols eventually overwhelmed the Jin forces and seized control of northern China. But Genghis Khan didn't stop there. His empire quickly expanded westward into Central Asia. His campaign against the Khwarezm Empire is one of the most famous in history. After the Khwarezm Shah insulted Genghis Khan by murdering his emissaries, the Mongols responded with devastating force. Genghis Khan launched a full-scale invasion, laying waste to cities like Samarkand and Bukhara. Entire populations were wiped out, and the once great Khwarezm Empire crumbled under the weight of the Mongol onslaught. From Central Asia, the Mongols pushed further into Persia, the Caucasus, and even Eastern Europe. They crossed the steppes into Russia, where they defeated the Kievan Rus, laying the groundwork for future Mongol rule over much of Russia. By the time of Genghis Khan's death in 1227, his empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, a territory larger than the Roman Empire at its peak. What's truly remarkable about Genghis Khan isn't just the size of his empire, but the way he governed it. You'd expect a vast conquered territory to be plagued by chaos and disorder, but under Genghis Khan's rule, the Mongol Empire was surprisingly well administered. Genghis Khan understood that ruling such a vast empire required more than military might. It needed laws, communication, and stability. One of his greatest achievements was the creation of the Yasa, a code of laws that applied to all people under Mongol rule. The Yasa covered everything from property rights to military discipline to family life. It established strict rules, but also brought a sense of justice and order to the empire. Under Mongol rule, religious freedom was encouraged, as long as it didn't challenge the authority of the state. This tolerance allowed diverse cultures to coexist under a single, powerful administration. Genghis Khan also created an efficient communication system called the Yam, a network of relay stations that allowed messages to be carried across vast distances at incredible speeds. This system connected the far-flung corners of the empire, enabling Genghis Khan to maintain control and respond quickly to threats or challenges. By the time Genghis Khan passed away in 1227, his empire was the largest the world had ever seen. But his death didn't mark the end of Mongol expansion. His successors, including his sons and grandsons, continued to build on his legacy. Under the leadership of Genghis Khan's grandson, Kublai Khan, the Mongols conquered the entirety of China and established the Yuan dynasty. The Mongol Empire continued to grow, reaching its greatest territorial extent in the mid-13th century. The legacy of Genghis Khan is one of both creation and destruction. His empire fostered trade, cultural exchange, and communication across Eurasia on an unprecedented scale. The famous Silk Road flourished under Mongol rule, linking the East and West in ways that had never been possible before. Yet, his reign was also marked by immense bloodshed and cruelty. Entire cities were wiped off the map, and millions of people perished during the Mongol conquests. Genghis Khan's tactics of terror and destruction have left an indelible mark on history. But for all the violence, he also laid the foundations for modern civilization in many ways. His empire paved the way for the interconnected world we know today, where ideas, goods, and people move across borders with relative ease. Genghis Khan's rise from a boy abandoned on the steppe to the ruler of the largest empire in history is one of the most remarkable stories in human history. His military genius, his ability to inspire loyalty, and his vision for a united Mongol nation transformed not only the Mongol people, but the entire world. His empire, though eventually fragmented, left a legacy that endures to this day, one of cultural exchange, innovation, and a reshaping of the global order. In the end, Genghis Khan was more than just a conqueror. He was a visionary leader who understood the power of unity, the necessity of laws, and the importance of communication. And though his methods were often brutal, his impact on the world is undeniable. His empire may have fallen, but the world he helped create continues to shape our present.